Hey guys, thank you for coming back to the next video. Guys, I just wanted to provide a little bit of backup information with respect to the video I did yesterday. And I just want to thank everybody for not jumping all over me. I realize this idea of knowing this type of information, it's crazy to consider. I don't claim to have any of this as being thus saith the Lord, like I said. So I appreciate it. I only got 2 thumbs down, and that's fine. All right, so I didn't provide some of the backup that I think is pretty important. One of the main things I have looked at, and we've all seen, everybody, I refer to this as the Swedish boy's rapture vision. I talk about this a lot, and this to me, the way this vision came out and what happened is, in some respect, it was a little bit sad because what happened was, on March 27th, Trinity Rick, I think his name is, his son had the vision. It's not a dream, it was a vision. And he did a video, I guess that day, March 27th, 2018. And it was his thought that it was going to happen that week. And he was using, April 1st as the date of the rapture. If you go back to that, this was like a Tuesday, I think, March 27th. And when April 1st came, nothing happened. The father felt pretty bad about the whole thing and then took the video down. But thankfully, there was a person who kept the video up. I'll leave a link for this. Here, I'll play it just for a second.
For my son's vision, to try to describe what he saw in his vision given by Jesus.
Okay, so here it was published on March 27th. And if you look here, you can actually see the transcript of the vision. It's written right here. So I created a short document to describe how this goes. And it's my thought that the March 27th date had significance. Like I said yesterday, these dates have significance. It didn't happen back then. I think it's going to happen. I'm hoping and praying it's going to happen 3 years later. The parable of the fig tree where the owner of the vineyard comes by for 3 years and is complaining that there's no fruit on that tree, and then Jesus, the vine dresser, says, "Look, let me dig around it and put some manure in, 144,000, and I'll get these people squared away with this manure." So I think that begins this year, 3 years later. So this is where you guys read this document, understand the details of how this works. I want to look at these details in a second. But basically what the boy says, on a Friday, everybody got the word at the mountain. There was a supernatural departure, and they went to the mountain. They were told what's going to happen 2 days later on the third day, and the third day would be the floating up rapture, is what I call it, because I want to distinguish it from other raptures. Because the boy speaks that Jesus told him there'd be 3 raptures, which I agree with. But literally the same day or the day before, Ron from Jesus Rules, he has a YouTube channel, he received a word that is very similar in nature about how the Swedish boy's rapture, floating up rapture, was going to occur. Now, the Swedish boy said that they floated up into the sky and it came to this thing here. I'm showing it here. Like, I think this is the river of life. And they go through this, and then they come out on the other side with clean clothes and a new body. And he didn't say it was the river of life, but he said it was something. He didn't know what it was. On the same day, Ron has this prophetic word, March 26th. That was March 27th, but they're in Sweden, so they're 12 hours ahead of Ron. Same thing. They're going to, here, the laws of gravity will no longer be upon you. No longer. So you're floating up, and you're going to go through the river of life to be cleansed of all bad. So this word from Ron, on the same day of the year, the same year, matches the vision the little boy was given. There's no way that could just happen. Ron didn't know about this. I talked to Ron. He didn't know about this vision from the little boy. To make it even more interesting, if you go to this date of March 27th, March 26th on the calendar, March 26th is Nisan 10. Nisan 10 is a very important day for Christians and Jews or Bible people. This is the day that the little lambs for Passover are taken into the Father's house. If you read Exodus 12, this is the day the little lambs, the innocent ones, or those who are believers, are taken into the Father's house before Passover. So, and it's also the day that the children of Israel, Nisan 10, is the day the children of Israel entered into the promised land. So what I want to get into now is why I think there's too many connections to this. If you read Joshua 3, please read Joshua 3 and chapter 4. It talks about how Israel, the children of Israel, the new generation of Israelites who spent 40 years in the wilderness, how they entered the promised land. And so the Swedish Boys Rapture vision, the itinerary of events begins on a Friday, and everybody is brought together, and they're heard a message that in 3 days there's going to be a rapture on the third day. It's kind of like Exodus 19 a little bit here. But in 3 days there's going to be a departure. And so that's the same pattern we see here. Joshua rose early in the morning. And he met with the officers, the elders, the leaders. The modern day version would be 144,000, or the harvesting bride. And he said, in 3 days, we're going to cross the river Jordan and go into the promised land. This is what happened here. So Joshua met with these guys like in the Swedish Boys Rapture vision. People are going to meet at the base of a mountain, and they're going to hear the news. They're going to hear the plan of the Lord, Amos 3:7, that there's going to be a rapture in 3 days, on the third day. It's the same as the pattern here. And then on the third day, they all met at the river, and they crossed over the river. That's what's spoken about here. And it clearly says in Joshua chapter 4 that it says, the people of Israel, the children of Israel, the new generation, not the old ones who didn't believe from 40 years ago, the new generation came up out of the Jordan River on the 10th day of the first month. So they crossed the river Jordan on the 10th day of the first month. The 10th day, I'm going to emphasize that, the 10th day of the first month. What day did Ron and the Swedish boy have their vision on? March 26th, 10th day of the first month. So Ron's vision and the Swedish boy's vision lined up perfectly. The timing of March 26th, March 27th is that time. So Joshua 3 and Joshua 4, the crossing of the river Jordan of the new generation into the promised land, into heaven, the boy and Ron had the same, their message lined up with Joshua 3 and 4, even to the day and to the events, the meeting 3 days before. So this year, if I go to this year, 2021, and I look at this is where it gets a little confusing. Bear with me. The Christians are the one who's going to enter the promised land before our non-believing Jewish friends, in my opinion. And so the Christians have what they celebration on March 28th. That's called Palm Sunday. And Palm Sunday is technically on Nisan 10, but because of the calendars and how the Christians celebrate it, the Christians are celebrating Palm Sunday, which was a 10th of day Nisan event. When Jesus rode into Jerusalem on a donkey, that was on the 10th day of Nisan. This year it's March 28th. Now the confluence of events is that happens to be Passover for the Jews. So we have two things going on at once. We have the Jews who are celebrating Passover, their Passover, Nisan 15, Nisan 14, on the weekend that the Christians are celebrating Palm Sunday. They're like a week off, but it's two things, it's two timelines occurring where both are going to see some type of fulfillment event that's going to make sense to them. To the Christians, this is the weekend, March 26th the Friday night that I am thinking, I'm not making some big bold prediction, I'm thinking that since Trinity Rect and Ron had this word about floating up into heaven, going through a river, that would occur the same weekend that Joshua did it 3,500 years ago. And it's the same date. Ron got his word on the 26th. The little boy released the vision on the 27th. So there is a connection here. So I have a document. I have a timeline for Joshua. This is if you read the book of Joshua 3 and 4, you can see the timeline of how the children of Israel entered the promised land, heaven. This is the new generation, the ones who were 20 and under, who lived 40 years in the wilderness. They entered the promised land, and they did it on the 10th day of the first month. So here's a timeline. So see the timeline. But this is what happened. On Adar 6 or 7, that's when Moses died. Moses died here. Adar 6 and 7. Here's the timeline I got going across here. And the children of Israel, they mourned the death of Moses for 30 days. Then on the 7th day of Nisan, Joshua brought together the officers to give a message that says, in 3 days we're going to cross the river Jordan. That message was given, that bringing together 3 days before the crossing the river, is identical to the Swedish boys' Rapture vision, where people meet at the base of the mountain on a Friday, and in 3 days they're going to be raptured. So this day, this Nisan 10 day, is like the Swedish boys' Rapture day, and this is like the Swedish boys meet at the base of the mountain day, and it lines perfectly with the book of Joshua. Now, if this is going to happen this year, then on Adar 6 or 7, we should see somebody die. We should see somebody die if we want to match the pattern of Joshua. Now, in the Swedish boys' Rapture vision, there's no one dying. He didn't mention any of this. But Adar 6 or 7, let's see when that is on the calendar. 2021, Adar 6 or 7. It's around February 18th, 19th. So we should see something happen. We might. If we don't, then maybe it isn't this year. Let me go back to the diagram. I know this is a lot to digest. I'm throwing a lot all at once. But the bottom line is the Swedish boys' Rapture vision, which you got on March 26, 27, that aligned perfectly with Ron Jesus Rules' prophetic word about floating up, was a Palm Sunday event. Now, if I go to my document here, timeline at the end, that's why I have the March 26th date, March 26th, 27th, 28th. It's the weekend of Palm Sunday, Swedish Boys Rapture Vision. I got a link here. You guys can go to it. Friday morning, we meet at the base of the mountain. That's what the boy said. 7 a.m. Sweden time. Base of a mountain in Egypt. This aligns with Joshua on Nisan 7, bringing the officers and the elders together. And they were all given the warning about to prepare for the third day. In 3 days, according to the boy's vision, they're going to cross into heaven. This emulates Joshua's charge to the elders to spread the word. And the Friday, the rest of the day, they went back. The people, this is what the boy said, they went back Friday and Saturday, and they warned everybody about the Sunday rapture. And then March 28th, I'm saying it's March 28th because it fits the pattern. This is the speculation, guys, on the dates, if this is the year. And it happens to be 1 month later than the February 28th event of the escape of the innocents. See, my thought is that the escape of the innocents 1 month, 30 days before is equivalent. This is where it's mind-blowing, guys. Follow me here. That the escape of the innocents, remember I had the confluence of dates of these 5 dates that spoke them off, February 28th. That's 1 month. That's 30 days, roughly, right? 30 days. Well, what happened with the children of Israel? 30 days? Do you see here? It's not that Moses is going to die. It's that there's going to be people that are taken on February 28th here, 30 days before this event there, and that's going to allow it to line up with the story of the Joshua timeline. It won't be Moses that, it'll be like a Moses dying. The little one's being taken. The old grandmother's being taken. So what I'm getting at is we see some intrinsic connection between the Joshua timeline of how the children of Israel entered the promised land with this 30-day event. Now, let me just go back to the calendar a second. We have to skew the dates a little bit because we have to go 30 days back from here. No, 30 days back from March 20. Let me go count 30 days, guys. Let me just count here. 5, 6, 7, 14, 28. 30 days before is like around March 3rd. It's because we have two dual calendars going on. I don't know the exact method here. It's always a little bit of a question when we look at these dates. Okay, so I think that's what I wanted to review. Oh, I know. I wanted to talk about Luke 17. Guys, I want you to download this document here. So I hope you guys got all that with this thing here. This to me, Ron, I'll just quickly summarize. Ron's word and the Swedish boy's rapture vision were given on the same day of the year. They were given on Nisan 10, 3 years ago. And I'm looking for them to occur on the exact Gregorian date this year. All right, with that, well, what happens at February 28th? We don't have any scriptures here. I'm not making the statement. There's nothing here that says, well, what happens on February 28th? Well, what I think it's going to be scripturally, it's going to be the Luke 17 departure. So my thought here is that when this departure occurs, this is the Lord coming back to grab the wise virgins. And the foolish virgins are left 30 days and will be taken on the March 28th date. That's how I see it going. Okay, so Luke 17, we should probably add the Luke 17 departure pattern in here. So just make a mental thought of that. What is Luke 17? Luke 17 is a description of a rapture that has been twisted by the Bible commentators, preachers, translators. The Luke 17 gathering of believers in the sky, when the sky lights up, the way that it's translated in the Bible, for the most part, is abysmal. It is such a horrific translation. When people pick this up and read this, let me just go here. Luke 17. Let me just look at the NIV. So the NIV has this description. I'm sorry, guys. No. Am I? Okay. Bear with me, guys, here. Yeah. So Jesus is talking about people being taken here. He says, I tell you, on that night, 2 people will be in bed. One will be taken, other left. 2 women grinding to get grain together. One will be taken, one will be left. And the disciples say, where, Lord? Where are they going to be taken? And this NIV says, where there is a dead body, where there the vultures gather. This is such a horrific translation into English. It makes you think that the people who are being taken, and I sat in a church 10 years ago and heard a pastor preach on this, and he was saying that the people who are taken are the sinners who are taken. And they're taken to where the dead bodies are gathered, where the vultures, a big pile of dead bodies, where vultures are picking at their flesh. When in reality, it's the exact opposite. I'm just blown away at how this came out. So download this document, the Luke 17 gathering of believers when the sky lights up, and it makes a reference. It says, for this is Jesus speaking, for as the lightning flashes and lights up the sky from one side to the other, so will be the Son of Man in his day. And this makes a reference to the days of Noah. And then it goes like this. Follow me here. One will be taken, the other will be left. I say left behind. There will be two women grinding together. One will be taken, and the other left behind. And the disciples said to him, Where, Lord? And he said, Where the soma is, there the aetos will gather. And so where the soma is, in the Greek, it means the mystical body of Christ, where the body of believers are. So they will be taken where the body of believers are, where the eagle gathers. So let me read it again in the correct English translation. Where will they be taken, Lord? And Jesus said, Where the body of believers is, there the eagles will gather. That's what it says. That's what Jesus meant it to say. And these bastardized English translations turn this thing totally backwards. Now, what about these eagles gathering? Well, in Isaiah 40, we learn that those who will be renewed in their strength, they shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. This is the eagle's departure. This is the pastor's grandson. Download this document. This is the pastor's grandson who had a dream, and the pastor had the same dream, about a chariot that whisked away and took the grandson's family into paradise. This is a rapture dream the guy had. You guys can read like this. And the stars appeared to fall from the sky was lit up. All of a sudden, the stars had color. The sky was lit up, just like it says. Jesus talks about this in Luke 17. Lightning flashes, lights up the sky. And this event, according to the little boy, occurred when everything seemed to be relatively normal. Then all hell broke loose, and then this occurred. So this is an early event. It's an early event, I think, in the timeline. So what I am thinking is, I'm thinking the February 28th event is this, the Luke 17 gathering of believers when the sky lights up. And it's going to be one will be taken, the wise will be taken, and the fool left behind. This is Matthew 25. That's what I see here. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to go about. So you can download the pastor's vision of the rapture, Luke 17 version. I even say it's a Luke 17 version. You can download the Swedish boy's rapture vision, which he had on March 27th. I went over all that. You can download the Luke 17 correct English translation. You know, I tried to share this with pastors, and they don't seem to care. No one seems to care about this stuff. I don't know. I'm just blown away by the apathy from the modern day Christian church with the fact that Jesus is at the doorstep and they don't seem to even know or even care, it seems. Anyway, I'm on my soapbox again. All right, guys, with that, I'll let you go. Have a great day, and God bless you.